Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie, and then welcome to another Friday night bee chat. And say everybody, we got Bill in the house already, and we got Mike and Keith and Shane, and hey Chris,
Roy's out
and
there.
yeah Roy. Let's see, we got
Keith.
Ziggy's bees
Yeah.
and Mike misbehaving. I want to say misbehaving,
Yeah.
and
Darren.
yeah, Darren's there and Danny Newburn.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, we got Jack and Danette. And, hey, Dennis. And we got Rick's honeybees.
Yeah.
All that. So,
There's
hey,
Flower
there's
Creek.
Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, Billy
Bill
Lee.
Lee.
And Mike. So, we've had hey, Ben. Um, had a pretty nice week here in Maryland. And it was 65 degrees on a Monday and then 70 degrees on Hey Nancy, 70 degrees on Tuesday. And then the rest of the week was, um, it was average around 55 to 60 degrees most days. And some days were like yesterday, it was had a dampness in the air, like there was rain was coming in, but it never did rain here yet. It's supposed to this Sunday and all that. I don't see Peabody or Ryan in the chat yet.
Not yet.
And all that. And hey, Mike, 21st Bees.
Yep.
And so anyway, he called me. He was checking his hives out down in Southern Maryland. Hey, Clay.
Yep. How you doing, Clay?
Um, he's about hour and a half or maybe 2 hours at the most below me. And so he was finding a lot of his hives close to starvation. Hey, Mike. And he was concerned, didn't want them to starve out. They hadn't starved out yet, but single boxes were pretty much empty of food, except for maybe some sugar that he had put on top through a feeder. He was putting some 8P23 winter feed, which I found out is actually fondant. I didn't know. I thought it was a sugar cake, but it's actually fondant.
Yep.
With a little bit of pollen in it. And putting all that, and then he was going to go ahead and put some liquid feed on him, I think this coming week, or maybe this week, depending on, his work schedule. Yep, Nancy, we got to get through March. It's kind of a crazy roller coaster ride. And hey, Keith. And so I got to thinking, so I went out there and I looked around, and that was Sunday, this past Sunday. Most of the hives, pretty much pollen patties were completely gone. Sugar cakes on the majority of the hives were close to being gone. And let's see what Brian's doing here. He's out there in his solar field where he's got hives. Sounds good, Brian. So, like I say, they weren't really out of feed, and some of them had honey in frames and stuff like that, and that kind of a thing. So I decided to go ahead and stop with the sugar bricks, because I didn't have any more to give them anyway. There were some hives that did have some sugar bricks still left on them that I had actually put on them, I think, a week or two before. And pollen was coming in. Seen, I guess it was Tuesday. A lot of pollen was coming in. So I kind of got that keyed in perfectly when I stopped feeding substitute. And so I started feeding some Pro Sweet. I brought my tote out, gave everybody a quart jar of Pro Sweet, took off the feeder shims, took off the insulation board on top, put all that stuff away, put the quart jar right over top of the hole of the inner cover, took out medium boxes to put that on top of that, and put, of course, the lid on top of that. And so they've been fed since Monday, and I finished up, like I needed 3 or 4 more hives that needed feeding, and I finished that up Tuesday afternoon. And I took off the says it was nice, and it seemed like all the indications seem that weather's going to be warmer as we keep progressing forward towards April. I took off my winter coverings and stored them all away and all that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Nancy took off a box, which was empty, medium, down to single deep for a few weeks. And Dennis here. He's coming. He's
You got bad weather coming.
Through in here in Alabama. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you get that liquid feed on there that we talked about Sunday? Hey, here's Dinah.
Yeah.
All my colonies have extra honey and fresh nectar and pollen just coming in Central Maryland. Yeah, definitely seen the pollen here. That short that I put out, I wanted to show it. And when I went back to the hive, before I made the video, there had to have been 25 bees coming in with great big fat pollen baskets all filled up, going into the hive and all that kind of stuff. And Ryan says, oh, yes, on Tuesday. So he hit them Tuesday like I did, Monday and Tuesday, as far as getting some liquid on her. I did the same thing, Ryan. And that's good. She's in Central Maryland, so she's a little, that. You got a lot of nectar coming in, Clay. Well, that's good. You don't need to feed them.
No, he doesn't need any feed at all.
You know, if you know, it's just like pollen patties and powder and all that. You know, if the pollen's coming in, just put all that stuff away for the year because you're done.
Yep, you are.
The bees are not going to take it.
Nope.
And like I say, I'm real happy with myself. The fact that I dropped that stuff on, I'll say the 1st of February. It actually was right at the end of January. And all that stuff. Dan's going to have to spin out some winter stores. I know I have a couple hives out there like that, but the problem of it is some of them hives are weak and they didn't need to eat. They didn't eat a lot of their stuff. And Nancy, pollen and something wet. Not sure if it's water, but the water in my rabbit rounds to add softens up sugar. Okay. Yeah, you were saying that it would sweat up in there in the rabbit rounds. But so I didn't cut the Pro Sweet, which is kind of like honey in the consistency.
Yep.
So I had about 3 or 4 hives I checked yesterday, and they all needed a refill. That one that Will really liked, that purple hive that I showed on my video, that one was completely bone dry. That they sucked that right down. So Mike misbehaving. Where are you located? It's finally hit 50 today. You must be up in the north.
Yeah.
Misbehaving. Let's see, Dinah here.
She's got drone brood. That's a good thing. Misbehaving is in southern Ontario.
Ontario. Well, okay.
So it's warming up there. That's a good thing. So I was in bees the other day. I've got a whole lot of pollen coming in, and I'm assuming I've got some nectar coming in too, because they're starting to put some nectar on the brood frames. And she has come down to the brood box. So this weekend, if I get a chance, I'm going to start putting queen excluders on and getting the hives ready to go for the summer.
Are you going to put the nectar boxes on then? What's the supers?
I'm going to leave one on above the brood box. I'm going to put
okay. Yeah, because you're running the deep and the medium.
Yep. Yep. So I'm going to have a deep, medium, and then a queen excluder in one box right now. So I want her to concentrate on getting the hives filled up with bees first. So.
Yeah.
Wow, blackberries are blooming.
And he's in Alabama.
Yeah.
Dennis is. So, like I say, right now, I just want to give them a little bit of liquid feed in there. That was something that Ryan was talking about. We were over the weekend that the larvae was not nice and juicy, I'll say.
Yeah.
With food in there. And I'm like, well, no, because the nectar isn't coming into the hive at this point in time at great amounts, if any.
Yep.
And so putting that in there will kind of boost them in that way. You know, I gave them sugar cakes to get them through the rough part. I gave them pollen substitute to get them boosting up. Now I give them a quarter of a Pro Sweet for now. That should kind of hold them over.
Yeah, that'll hold them over.
The maples are, I won't say they are totally, popped in bloom, but they're starting to open up maybe some. Oh, thanks for reminding me there, Mike. I guess I ought to put the darn thing in there.
Yeah, it would help, wouldn't it?
It would help. I was wondering why nobody's coming in. And we pinned to the top. So now somebody can come in if they like.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's just say, personally, I've never normally fed liquid in the spring. And, I've kind of did a lot of new things this year when it comes to springtime preparations. And anyway, I got that much done. So they're kind of on autopilot right now.
Yep.
It's supposed to be raining this weekend up here.
Yep.
And Dennis is going to be adding supers on Sunday. Got a light flow. And that kind of stuff. And so when I was kind of going through and taking feeder shims off and stuff, I'd pull a frame up here and there. And, hey, Lynn. And Um, I did see some cat brood in certain hives. So some of the hives still had a lot of, some of the weaker hives had, um, honey up the top. I pulled the one hive that had that observation cover that seems to be weak. It seems like, well, the one was a dead out. The one was in the middle there was sort of weak. And one was a little bit lighter. The one that was weak, I pulled the frames up, and yes, there's about 4 inches of cat brood on both sides of a medium frame. And there's the queen walking around, and there's, a grouping of bees and all. But I got to thinking about it. I said, this is exactly what I saw last spring in the queens that were on their way out, as far as I was concerned. And where, the queen is just wore out. Even though this is a 2024 queen I put in there in April of last year, I can see that definitely that queen is ready to be replaced right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it, when it, I don't know, the learning experience that I learned last year, where the queen, well, you had the ones that were dead outs, and then you had the ones, like you say, they may have had a quarter of a frame with cat brood on there, and maybe only 1 or 2 frames like that in the hive. Hey, Kim. And it just, it kind of reminded me of some of the videos that Ian put out, to where he was going through his hives in the spring once out of the shed, and he was basically evaluating the queen's production. And he would see some of the videos he would have where they would pinch them and then requeen them. Or he was like, okay, give us bee a little bit more bee power, as I call it, when it comes to worker bees, and see if she takes off.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And I would say that, here's Brad. There he is.
Hey, Brad.
Oh, wait, hold up.
Hey, in my situation, I've already put a note on the top of that hive. It's like, replace queen. And it just, she's, everybody else is, got frames and frames of bees and brood and everything else going for it. And this one here is like about, like a, I don't know, maybe a softball size brood area. And it's like, I'm like, nah, she's done. I'm not going to waste my time on somebody like that.
Yeah.
And all that. Hey, Brian from Wisconsin.
Hey, Brad, I got a beekeeper down in your neck of the woods. Second year beekeeper. He's got 2 nukes that he's just split one of them the other day. And he hasn't a mentor down that way, but not really, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Is it all right if I give him your contact information?
Yeah, that'd be good. Just tell him to call me.
Okay.
How did you get hooked up with him, Bill?
He is a twin brother to the past president of the Woodstock
okay,
club.
That's the guy I'll talk to.
The evil twin, yeah. So he was there for that splits class. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't.
He's the one in the class that traveled the furthest to come to the class.
Yeah, he was laughing about the statement I made. Yeah, you have to give that queen a hive tool test.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever heard that before.
No, he'd never heard that one.
So anyway, I'm looking at that hive and I'm like, okay, that definitely is out the door. And the rest of them seem to be. I got like one of the hives. I opened it up and I'm starting to notice like temperament, where they're kind of flying up in my face, or the hive down there where Will like the one, the first one in the blue. Yeah, it's huge and big and nice, but they're not flying out of my face, or they're just kind of keeping calm.
Yeah.
I said, I need to start writing notes on that one there. That's the one you want to graph from. Something that's big and beautiful, nice and easy to work with. So, Brad, what's happening down there in your neck of the woods?
No, not too much. Started setting some nukes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What was it?
I said I started selling nukes.
Oh, selling nukes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So how many have you gotten out the door now?
Oh, I started contacting them. I had one man pick up one today, and I got 2 for Sunday, 2 for Monday, and then I got 10 for next Friday.
Well, I don't know what you're selling them for, but a friend of mine's, beekeeper friend of mine, her husband was out and what's it called? Texas Bee Supplies.
Mm-hmm.
And how much do you think a nuke out there is going for today?
250.
Mine are 165.
$300 a nuke.
What?
$300.
How the heck they gonna sell that?
They're selling them. She said her husband was sitting there kind of like giving an old weird shot to somebody, and here they're just taking orders like crazy out there. No problem at all.
That's around Houston, Texas.
He's got multiple places, I'm sure. That's what's his name? Blake Shook.
Yeah, I think their biggest locations is close to
that's his outfit.
Yeah.
You have all them die-outs, the price has to go up.
Yeah, that's a lot for a nuke.
It is. That is a lot.
Usually that's what you
that's
get
what
for a 10
I think
frame
James and Brad up there in Canada, of course, it's the money difference there, but their average nuke up there is $300 to $400. Of course, they can't, bring in bees across the U.S.
Yeah. I thought I had mine high for 165.
$285 around here for a package.
Oh, I'd never pay that for a package.
And that Ziggy, he's up in Canada.
See, around here you can get a package for like $100.
Yeah, our packages are 135, and nukes this year in this area are going for about 200.
And Doug says it'd be $510 Canadian.
Gee whiz.
That's a lot of money. Hey, Tom.
And I wonder how, for $300, I wonder how well packed their nukes are, because I've seen some nukes being made by several guys, with big outfits, and they don't have a lot of bees in those nukes.
No, they don't. I think when they split them, they're trying to get as many nukes out of one hive as they can.
Yeah, Michael up there in Arkansas, he's got 200, and it's been the going rate around here for 200 for the last 2 or 3 years, at least.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the difference.
I'll say at least 3 years.
I'd rather buy an overwintered nuke than a regular nuke anyway, because like the bees that I'm selling, everything that I'm selling is for that queen. She raised it, she laid it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but now when you say overwinter, that queen's what? A late summer queen or late?
Yeah, late summer. She's never
Yep.
seen a honey flow.
So she's a good queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times around here, she's been through the honey flow and she went through the winter and she's wore out by the time you get her. But most
No.
people don't realize, most new beekeepers don't really realize that.
No, that's not all mine. They've never really. This is their first time building up because, like all of them that went through winter, they were small. They were, they were 3 and 4 frames.
Yeah.
I had them in those licensed styrofoam 6 framers, and I had to feed them. And so right now, I mean, I pulled out some slabs, Charlie, this morning. They were wall to wall brood, not even no honey, just brood all the way to the edges.
That's good. So you baby them through the winter,
Mm-hmm.
and then when springtime hits, y'all are on your own.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
spring's what, February, January?
They started producing in January, but there was no feed, so I had to feed them
Yeah.
because the red maple got froze out because they started to bloom right before that snow.
Yep.
But usually,
Yeah.
if we can hit the red maple, then you don't have to feed that much. You'll even see white wax in there in late January, and I didn't see any of that. The only time I saw white wax was when I started feeding.
You got maple in January down there?
Late January, they started blooming. They bloomed early, and they got hit by that snow.
Mhm.
And so we didn't have no nectar come in early.
Yeah. Red bud trees around here are going to be popping here within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say.
Our
Forsythia is already coming out.
trees are just starting to bloom. I noticed mine are just putting out buds right now, and the clover's popping. So everything's really going on right now, and I could tell with the bees they're going crazy. I even have some making starter swarm cells.
Now, Keith Larimore wants to know, do you have a difference in price when it comes to overwinter nukes versus spring nukes?
Yeah. There's a little bit of difference.
Yeah, usually it's a little cheaper,
Yeah.
but I don't do the spring nukes.
Not many people around here do them either. They'll do a late season nuke, and a late season nuke is considered around June 1st.
And see, I wouldn't buy a late season nuke.
No, because they haven't had a chance to build up yet.
And you're taking all the risk for the
Yeah,
winter.
you are.
So there's no risk on the beekeeper. I'm on the seller, I should say, when he makes a late season nuke, because he's just getting rid of old bees and a new queen. and here you go. Well, a new beekeeper got to bring that through the winter and hope that it survives winter, then
Yep.
start making honey the next year. Where if you buy an overwinter nuke, the new beekeeper has none of that worry.
Right. It's all been on the beekeeper.
Yeah.
So that's why when my demo rate splits, that's why when I tear them down, the excess bees get split off into late season nukes, get a queen put in them, and they get babied all winter, and then in the spring they get sold over winter. So that's a 5 frames of bees that's never seen a honey. Well, the bees have seen it, but the queen's never seen a honey flow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Ziggy up there in Canada. $305 for a package.
Wow.
And they're saying a limited quantity, depending. Well, package of bees up there, they're not coming out of state, so
No, they're coming out of Canada itself.
yeah, and all that.
Guy that came pick up a nuke from me today. He had 70 or 80 hives, something like that. He was telling me, lost every hive to
Wow.
late sweet corn
Spray.
poison. He said he thought it was field corn that he had his bees next to, and come to find out it was sweet corn, and they sprayed it,
Uh,
and the bees were eating all the pollen. He said he went back. That was just piles of dead bees inside the hive, and uh, he had little bitty clusters that survived in some of them, but he says they all died over winter. So that poor, so he
Doug
got it.
says that the packages will be from, was that Chile? Is that how you pronounce that?
yeah.
Hey, Sandy.
Do you know what they? Darren wants to know what they sprayed him with.
He didn't tell me. He just said, which is crazy because he says the farmer didn't know I had the bees there. Well, I don't know if they were on his property or right next to it, but must have been very close.
Well, Bob Benning made that last Sunday's video, and they had an area there that he had a
Sweet corn fall.
sweet, and it was close to, it was about a mile away from somebody doing sweet corn. And he'd been there for 10 years or more, and he's packing up and
moving them.
all that.
Yeah.
Usually it's the fall sweet corn when they plant a second crop, a late crop, that affects them because they're in the dirt and they go after that pollen.
Yeah, they need something.
But like in the spring around here, we got sweet corn growing and stuff, but the bees don't mess with it because they're in such a honey flow and stuff. They don't really. I plant sweet corn myself, but I watch if I gotta spray it when what the bees are eating on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I've never been poisoned around here in 8 years.
Well, that's good.
So
That's really good.
I've never really had any problems. And, my son sprays, and of course, it's more for grassy type stuff.
mm-hmm.
But, yeah, with sweet corn, they usually plant so many rows and they wait 2 weeks and plant another set of rows. So each things keep coming in and all that. Oh, yeah. I mean, Paul.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I've been lucky. I live on the farm. Apiary's on the farm, and we spray, and I've been really lucky with it. But I guess I know the spray schedule, so it's easy that way. I can get out there and close them up.
And Sandy, she got into her eyes. What they look like, Sandy?
Yeah.
You're out in Western Mountain where it's still cold, I think. A little bit, anyway. But, yeah.
Well, I think I made a boo-boo today. I was fixing some nukes, going through my hives, and I opened up one hive, and they were bad. I mean, just horrible. Compared to what all the others were acting like. All the others were. It was a windy day and kind of cloudy, so I expected them to be a little bad, but these were like all up in my face, stinging the mask and everything. So I went ahead and made my nuke. I said, well, I'm not going to sell that to a customer. I'm going to go ahead and requeen that. So I put it to a side with the queen, and I was going to put another queen cell in the bees that I had left in the 12 frames, and requeen that nuke. Well, I continued to make my other nukes up, and I make them in them pro nukes. And I had some yellow and green tops, and I set my nukes next to me, the ones that I was going to keep for the customer, and I grabbed that one that I was going to pinch that queen, and I went in there and I pinched her, and I started realizing, I'm like,
Wrong box.
these bees are pretty calm. I said, oh no, I set the wrong box aside. I opened up the one that I thought it was, and boy, they come buzzing out of there. I said, oh, hell no. I pinched her too. I pinched the wrong queen, so now I got to requeen. I got to requeen 2 boxes.
We all make that mistake.
Now, Brad, all right, you pinched them queens here, this week or a couple of days within the last day or couple? Today. All right. Now, where are you going to get queens, or how are you going to do that?
Well, I'm going to let them go ahead and make their own queen. And I'm just going to requeen them when I start grafting my own.
Okay. All right.
And what I'll do if they produce any brood or anything like that, and I need to boost up my honey hives,
There you go.
I'll just pull some brood out when the tallow starts to bloom. You usually have a couple of weeks before it actually opens up.
There's Mr. Bob.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Bob.
I heard you smushing queens over there. You didn't even need a queen guillotine to do that.
No,
Yeah, that's the queen guillotine right there.
I killed a innocent queen.
What'd she do to you?
Nothing. He picked the wrong box up.
I picked the wrong one.
Well, I've got 5 queen cells coming Monday. I split. So last Wednesday, before I went to the show, I made a split into a polystyrene nuke box and went back out there when I came home to check to see if there's queen cells. Nope, but there was a marked queen in there. So I had gotten her in the box, but then I checked the colony that she came out of, the mother colony, and they had queen cells. So gonna let them go do their thing. And then yesterday I was going through one of my mean colonies, and there was a queen cell, so I split that off into another box, and then I got 5 cells coming on Monday, so I'll probably knock some of those down and replace them with queen cells that are getting ready to hatch of a different
one, Bob?
What's that?
You only went through one up?
Yeah, I can only do one at a time. Now I gotta take a break. I turn on fire. My arms turn on fire. Even with the jacket on, it's amazing how bees can find your plumber crack. This like just if there's any exposed skin, they will find it for sure.
Yes, they will.
So,
man, I had one get me in the ear. My veil touched my ear just for a second.
Yeah.
And when it did, they zapped me.
That's all they need is that 1 second.
Man. I mean, he was buzzing around there. He was, when you can hear him drilling.
Yep.
They trying to get through that net, and I'm not like, well, he ain't getting to me. But I leaned to the side, and wow, he nailed me, or she nailed me.
I had one that was flying around in here, and it landed like it had its head in my ear and was buzzing. I just grabbed my ear and squished it.
Hey, Rick.
I got on my golf cart because I had a bunch of bees riled up when I went through them nukes, and that mean hive, I had bees following me a little ways, so I went right around my shed, and I went. Usually, when you go in the dark shed, they'll leave you alone. They'll go away. This one, she must have had a vendetta. She followed me in there, and when I pulled off that suit, she nailed me behind the neck. I'm like, you son of a you know what. Like, you must have really disliked me. One bee out of a million followed me back.
Hey,
now look what's on the look
on the screen.
Got to get on later for prison talk. That could be a whole series. That could be a whole series
That's-
by itself. The prison.
Oh, yeah.
It could be.
We'll save that.
That's funny.
Yeah, we were talking about electric chairs a couple of nights ago.
Jeez.
I was listening to y'all, but I couldn't talk.
Man, I got a lot of stories I could tell y'all.
I went to go. I was going to make some lemon creamed honey today, and I went in there and started looking for my flavoring. Was out. I had strawberry by the 3 bags of strawberry, so I had to order lemon and get it in. So
I seen your video of your creamer.
my little creamer. I actually turned that up. It was slower than that, so it was just going around. I added about 3 gallons to it, so I don't draw it all the way down, right? I always leave probably about maybe a 5-gallon pail in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Then I come in and add a few gallons, and then it might be a month that it's just in there doing its thing. And then it started getting a little thick, so I added some more honey to it to thin it out a little bit. And
you just flavor it after you get it out?
oh yeah, I don't want to flavor 12 gallons of it, right?
Yeah, okay.
So I could take 3 quarts out in my little mixing bowl for my KitchenAid and mix the flavoring in, and then jar that. And I can literally jar one flavor, clean it all up, jar another flavor, and just keep going one through the other. But lemon definitely was my number 1 seller.
You forgot to fill it up, Bob.
Hell, I don't have enough honey left to fill it all up.
I mean, you got to do like Doug here. He fills her 50 gallons in there.
That thing will hold 300 and some pounds of honey.
That's a lot of cream.
That's a lot of honey.
Yeah, so I think I've got 120 pounds still in the buckets.
What size jars do you sell of creamed? How many ounces?
This is a 6-ounce jar, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say it's either 6 or 9. That's what it looks like.
And I have yet to find a better price than just buying them from Amazon. I've looked at a bunch of different container companies, and unless you're ordering a pallet of them, what's that?
For the jars from Amazon?
Yeah, the jars and the lids.
How many jars you get at a time?
Well, I just ordered 150, so that was 5 cases of 30. And it came with lids. I didn't have to buy lids separate. And it came with twine and little golden bees, and honey dippers.
Oh, honey dipper.
Honey dippers, yeah. So I pull all that crap out and throw the honey dippers in one container. So, I just give it away when they buy some honey. I'll give them a honey dipper, but it's not.
Now Ryan wants to talk about labels. I get mine through Man Lake. They're overpriced.
I print my own, but I think that's getting ready to change probably. So
I use Bee Sky, Blue Sky, Bee Supply. Almost said that backwards.
Now, I
use a Walmart empty quart jar with no name.
With Blue Sky, or where do you get yours at, Charlie?
Man Lake.
Can you just order a custom one that's not like one of their pre-printed ones, or do you have to order one of their formats?
I order the stock label that has my information printed on it.
Yeah,
then I go to Better Bee. I think it's Better Bee that I have my granulation and don't feed it to a baby under 1 year. And there are 500 labels to a roll. They were on sale here, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, maybe 6 months ago. And it was a really good sale on them things. I went ahead and bought, I think, 10 rolls.
If I could get one size, or not one size jar, but if I could get a scheme of jars that I like to stay with, I've kind of bounced, and I'm getting there. If I could get just pint jars, I'd probably just order them off Uprint is where I got my labels for my swarm lure. So I buy these like 2,000 at a time. But I'm thinking about going to
Is that a
roll.
label or is that a card?
It's a sticker. You just gotta. Here, I'll show you. Hold on, let me grab a bottle.
Okay. Mike says from Easy Ox, Blue Sky, he's got sale labels right now.
So all you got to do with these, Charlie, is you just pinch them back. What I do is I just peel the end off, grab my bottle, try to line it up as nice as I can. That's a little crooked, I can tell already, so I just straighten it out. And then I can just roll it right around. And, you can halfway get a good roll by hand that way. So, but you can buy these in the roll too. They're just more expensive on the roll for some reason. It's the same amount. You think the cutter would be different, but my honey labels.
What I like about Blue Sky's labels, they're tough. They're real tough. And they're waterproof too. If you wanted to wipe them down, it don't come off.
I've seen some of them. You can put them in the dishwasher and they still don't come off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough. I got 2 different sizes. I got 3 sizes now. Let me see. When I used to do the inverted bottles, they would hold a bigger label. But when I went to these bottles I use now, see, I still use these right here on the jars, but they won't fit the 1 pound bottles I use now. This one will.
Now, Joey, that Blue Sky, did they design that label for you?
Well, they have that, the bee and the honey, the bee in that little background right there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, and that outline, that's the only thing that's on this. Everything else is custom on there. They put it like you want it.
Well,
Once they design it that first time, do they stick you every time you get it printed, or do they keep your label?
They keep that on file, and if you don't need to change it, they'll send you another proof of the same thing again. You approve it, and then they'll make them. I usually buy 500 or 1,000 at a time. It depends on.
Yeah,
once you have one you're set on, then you could just keep ordering them, right?
And that was my biggest problem with Man Lake is like my lettering. Sometimes it would be bold and sometimes it wasn't. And I don't remember, in the size. Let me get that up here for you.
That's my little 8 ounce of honey. And then I got that. Next time I'm going to go get the 2-inch ones. These are a little bit too small, but they still do good.
That's
all that.
That's what I put on the mason jar, the 2-inch ones on the top. It fits that circle pretty good.
That way you have room to write the flavor on there if you want to.
Yeah, and
you flavor
that's what
yours,
I do with
Joey?
these is I just put the flavor on the top of them. That was a crappy print job. I mean, a crappy sticker job, but it just put the flavor on it.
I hadn't started doing any flavors yet.
Now Brian here, he says he had to pay for the proof on my second order, even if I didn't change it. And it's like,
I can't remember. Is that with Blue Sky?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I can't remember.
The only thing,
it's still reasonable.
Like I use Avery too. I print my own, but here's the problem that I'm finding with Avery now. So you put in the sometimes, like on this label, you put in the dimensions of the label, but you see it doesn't print all the way to the end. There's like that white strip there.
Yeah.
That doesn't look very professional to me. Now the other side is fine. Well, for the most part, except for the corners. Very little bit in the corner It just looks like it was a white sticker that something was printed on, which is exactly what it was. But if you use their number, it's supposed to fill in the whole sticker. So that's the thing. But I've been printing my labels myself ever since I started hunting. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll find a sale and you can just stack up on them.
And Magnolia says you got to oversize the print slightly.
Yeah. So have you tried Fillmore container, Bob?
I have, and I've tried for these little ones. I've looked at. I haven't looked at Fillmore.
Fillmore is $17.76 for 36 of them.
Oh well, that's a good thing.
It's
That's
$5.75 a case plus 17 cents for the lid.
I looked at one that was right up in Charlotte, and they were the Carry Company is the one I looked at, and I was like, oh, I could just go up there and grab some cases.
Yeah. Well, see, if you buy 1 to 239 cases, which is it's a case of 12, it's $5.75 a case. If you buy 240 cases to 459 cases, it drops down to $5.50.
I was getting yeah, I see it now. I just pulled it up. Is that with the lid or without the lid?
The lid is 17 cents, which is
So it's about
negligible.
the same then.
It's actually if you order 30 from Amazon and you have to order 36 from Fillmore, you're still cheaper than Amazon.
But I don't think I paid shipping last time from Amazon. I don't know.
That's true. You'd have to pay shipping from Fillmore.
Where are they
Where do you get
located?
the Avery stickers at, Bob?
Lancaster,
Amazon.
Pennsylvania.
Amazon? That's the cheapest place.
Cheapest ones I found. When you go to Walmart or somewhere, sometimes they don't usually have the size I need first thing. I usually just get them from Amazon. They're in Lancaster. Yeah.
Yeah, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
So you can come up, Bob, and get some honey and get some bottles.
Yeah, exactly.
If you buy 240 to 459, they're
$5.50 a case. Yeah.
So that's less than 50 cents, and then add 17. So what?
67 cents a jar.
And let me see what I paid on Amazon last time.
The ones I'm looking at, like you held up, was $22.99 for 30 of them. A 30 pack.
I bought 150 jars. It cost me shipped to my door, including tax, $124.15.
Yeah.
So we'll take that number. 124.15 divided by 150 jars, 83 cents a piece that way. And I don't really need, I've got so many dippers that are coming out of my buttocks right now. I don't really need them anymore. Because every load that I got comes with you get 30 dippers to a case.
Yep.
I've got 150 dippers from this order, plus probably 150 from the last orders, and it's a lot. They start building up rather quickly. And all those little gold bees that I don't waste the time to string. If anybody does jewelry making where they make little bracelets and stuff, let me know, because I got about a few hundred bees. Let me see.
Yeah, Honeystone. She online label and print my own.
Yeah, Andy said he's got a commercial printer.
Yeah, those things are nice, but bring your checkbook when you go to get one of them. They're not cheap. But again, if you're doing it for a long period of time, it may end up being cheaper in the long run doing it that way.
Bob,
We
I
use
didn't
a-
realize I was muted. I'd said check with Philip. He may want those bees.
Oh, those little bees. Yeah, his daughter does earrings and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if
We use a printer here locally, so I get them pretty cheap.
I mean, printing is the one part, but trying to get I'll say a logo design, or that's, I think, is the hardest part.
Yeah, well, that's not that difficult either if you don't mind using Fiverr. Fiverr, you can look at graphic designers and tell them what you want and give them an idea of what you're looking for and everything you need on there. And then usually within 1 to 2 days, they have a bunch of different designs for you to choose from, which one you like. And then once you buy it, they send you the files.
Yeah, we did our design. We did our label, and gave it to the printer. Gave them a PDF of it, and they looked at it and did some adjustments so it would be centered better on the label, and it works great. I can't even boil them off the jar.
Hmm.
They're kind of like yours, Joey. They're they're waterproof.
So last time I ordered swarm lure labels, it cost me $246.11 shipped. And I got 2,000 labels. So that was 12 cents a piece for labels.
I tell you, if you're not a beekeeper, most people don't realize just how much money you spend on every little thing you got.
Oh, yeah.
You get in beekeeping.
Yeah.
You get
Well, you got to order
to death.
You got to order this in this huge bulk to get a price break, and then it's like,
Right.
well, where do I store this? I
Yeah,
might use
exactly.
it eventually, but where do I store it at that point, right?
In your
Yep.
house.
Well,
Mike says use Chat GPT,
Yep.
whatever that is.
It's
AI.
AI. It's artificial intelligence. It'll design a label for you. All you gotta do is tell it what you need on it, and it'll design the label.
oh my gosh, they'll let anybody in this place.
Holy
Oh.
moly.
I clicked it and you clicked it at the same time.
Oh.
Ian,
What are you in the barn, Ian?
Hey guys, how's it going? No, I'm in the
Good.
truck.
Yeah, I was watching your video this evening here.
Oh yeah. I'm just in Brandon right now. My boy's playing volleyball. I'm just waiting we're waiting an hour before his next game. So I just found you guys on here. I thought I'd hop on.
you know, it's funny that they got a lot of energy when it comes to playing volleyball, but you tell them to go mow the grass or something, they're too
Yeah,
tired.
they start moping around.
Yeah. Young again, I guess, right? To be young.
Yeah.
Those kids
Yeah.
that can jump, I can tell you. I mean, when's the last time I jumped on purpose? I think it's been 30 years since I've jumped on purpose. But those guys are jumping it's been all day they've been jumping. God, they gotta be tired.
That's I don't even remember having that much energy. I know I had it somewhere, but I misplaced it along the way.
Yeah, some of these guys on this volleyball team, they work on the honey farm. So I know these kids quite well.
Tell them don't get hurt. Work starts soon.
Yeah.
I used to remember when I was in baseball, we used to always jump off the top of the bleachers after practice and stuff. And now I got to take my time going down a step.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to miss any.
No. So how's the bees, Charlie?
All are doing pretty good. I mean, I got one weak hive there I was talking about earlier. I want to pinch the queen and I want to do what you're doing. I mean, I've watched some of your videos where you've been, what do you call it? Combing through the queens and whether they're calls and,
Oh, yeah.
and it, between what happened to me last spring where I had a queen in there that was laying up a little teeny patch of brood on a medium frame and then killing them queens and getting fresh queens in there. And they explode. The hive just exploded in brood and everything.
Yeah.
I learned a whole lot right there. And when I would watch you on your videos and you're saying, well, this queen isn't no good, and you pinched her, or you would say, maybe she needs a little bit of bee power, as I call it, putting those bees in there. And then she had enough workforce to be able to lay up like she should.
Yeah.
And which is kind of a
Sometimes
hard
it's
call to make on that part. But since last spring, experiencing that, I don't have a problem saying pinch the queen and go, because now it's like, I understand what you guys commercial guys were always saying. You don't have time to baby that queen along because she's never going to do what you think she might do.
Yeah.
And you finally, through experience, I finally have understood that now.
Oh yeah. So you've turned into a mean-hearted bugger. Then you just pinch the queens off.
Yeah. Out it over,
Brad,
you know?
Brad is the mean one.
I had some girlfriends like
Yeah,
that in
but
the
it's,
past. You just couldn't
but
get them to
that,
do right. You had to get rid of them.
That's a hard thing to understand, especially with like a backyard, because they're looking at it like, well, that means I got to spend $40 or whatever for a new queen if it's mated,
Or 200 for a nuke.
yeah, whatever.
Or 200 for a nuke.
But I mean, it just it's that learning experience.
Yeah.
And knowing what to do and knowing when you're looking at it, what the problem is. And it's, and like I say, I seen this one box of bees. Yeah, she had brood, it's capped. Yeah, she's there, but it's only two or three frames. And I'm like, she's done,
Yeah. Make her
Get
work.
rid
Yeah. Yeah. There's
She's
an art.
making
There's an art of, assessing nests, and, small colonies can still make you a big crop, but a difference between a small colony and a weak colony, those, you don't keep those weak ones around, pinch them right off. You can,
Yeah.
boost the small ones, but get rid of those weak ones for sure. Absolutely.
Well, people talk about like I guess it was Doug was taking, he was commenting on the video I put out, and he said, well, you could move a frame or two of brood over there to boost that colony. But then you always have that same comment is like, well, why is she weak to begin with?
Yeah.
And is it, you have to kind of, it's like you did in your videos in the past. She's good. She just needs more bee power. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you make that decision, but then it's the other, like I say, like this one here, I'm looking at it, I'm like, she looks just like it was last spring. I'm as soon as I can get me a queen, she's gone.
I did.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with you with your honey. You got a very small honey window, and mine not too much more than yours, but it's like, I already know in my mind, hey, I need to get rid of her so that hive can produce me 50 or 80 pounds of honey for this season, or as much as I can get out of that hive. And I've seen that, last year I seen how a fresh queen just takes off.
Yeah. These queens aren't lasting as long as they used to.
No.
I mean, you get a year and a half now, maybe, out of a queen before it starts to fizzle out. I think we're finding trouble with virus load. We had a speaker at a convention who she studied virus loads within queens, and she's finding that the queens are accumulating these high virus loads, and it's destroying them. They don't have as much fat on them. They're not enough longevity, and the colonies are switching them out, and they're just not as thrifty. So I think there's a lot of things going on with our queens right now. So, just switching them out, get a new one in there. That's the best thing we can do. Control the mites and disease best we can, get a fresh queen in there and feed them best we can. So that's all
Now,
we can do.
yeah, I watched you and Carrie, you have your cell builders and stuff. Are you switching your queens out? I mean, I know you got 1,800 hives out there, but are you doing it after the honey flow or before or?
Yeah, it's kind of on a progressive. I know a lot of guys that'll in the spring, blanket everything gets requeened. Then, I know some guys that paint their queens, and then they'll go through and they'll pinch off the painted one the next year, but they'll leave the ones that aren't because they know those are, they've been switched out because of supersedure and such. But we don't paint our queens, so I don't really know how old my queens are. So I do basically strictly on performance. So I do probably, maybe we miss a few because we do it that way, but we assess them all through the season. And as soon as they even hint on failure, we take them out and we drop a nuke in there. So we try to keep continually dropping in fresh nukes into those empty spots all the time just to try to refresh them. Because a lot of these colonies, I go through and I started requeening every colony because, to keep them fresh. But I started finding, well, some of these colonies that already requeened the season before and they're doing really well. Why am I pinching these off? I'm finding a lot of my nests are switching out the queens. I bet you 50% of my colonies, some of these yards, have switched the queens out. It's just, and I think the reason why they're doing it is because the queens just aren't lasting as long because they're sick with virus and whatever. So,
Well, so
youthful queen is very important for the nest, and the bees know that too. So that's why.
Yeah, it used to be the joke at these club meetings and stuff is that, oh, just blame everything on the queen. Well, you know what? After last spring, it's like it is true. Everything, it's all around the queen. It drives the whole hive.
Yeah.
But now, when you say, what are you seeing when you say you start to see hints of failing? The queen is starting to fail. What do you? What are the indicators that you see, or can you explain that?
Yeah, in the spring, we do a very thorough assessment in the spring after they come out of the shed, and from the period from the shed as they grow, as they flip that winter nest into spring, and then as they build that springtime nest into June into the flow. So we're always monitoring them, and we do it by grading the colonies. So we're counting the frames every time we go through. First time out of the shed, count the frames, mark the size. The next time, 3 weeks after, we'll go through, count the frames, and we're looking for growth. So we're not spending a lot of time, and we're not actually digging into the nest a whole lot. We're just looking for the growth. And if we can see growth and progression in those nests, then that queen's probably doing very well. We just leave them alone. If not, they'll be building. So we'll be putting boxes on them, taking splits, sending them into the flow. So we do very little work with them. But the colonies that kind of stagger a little bit, then we'll dig down, see what's up. And typically we pinch those queens off, put another queen in there as a re-queen, or we'll take that unit and we'll shift it into a nuke box and take it to our mating yard, put a queen cell in there and shift it out, drop a nuke in its empty spot.
So a good, work formula would be you go in that, when you get it out of the shed, you go through that hive, and let's say she's got 3 frames of brood. And then you come back in 3 weeks, and now she's got, let's say, 5 or 6 frames of brood.
Yeah, even more, not that intensive. We don't actually go down in the brood nest. The only reason we go in the brood nest is if we have a flag or for a reason to go down there. So basically all we're doing is counting frames of bees. So we tip the colony back. Let's say the first time we tip them back, 5 frames of bees. So then we mark, so that'd be a 5 framer. We'll mark in the front. We come back in 3 weeks, the next round or whatever, we'll check. If there's 4 frames, there's a problem because she's shrinking. Right. But if there's 6 or 8 frames, then she's progressing. So then we'll leave them alone. So the colonies that start to fall backwards, those are the ones we dig down into then to see what the problem is. And typically is.
So you're tipping them back and looking underneath the.
Yeah.
You're looking
at a lot of back work, but it's the only way you can actually assess the vigor of a colony just by the growth of it. Because you can dig down and you can look at that queen. She looks pretty. The poor ones look pretty as the good ones. You can't tell by the way the queen looks. If we called for the way the queens look, we wouldn't pinch any queens.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So
so-
basically, you're looking at frames of bees, a cluster size. I mean, I've seen that where
Yeah.
you've tipped them back, and you had a cluster this big, and then there's a cluster that big. All right, so
Yeah.
that's the way you're actually viewing that. That's
Yeah,
good.
so we'll find the small ones too, and then we'll want to see progression of those small ones. But typically in a small colony, we'll go down and we'll take a look at that brood nest, and we'll see the caliber of her performance. And if it looks like she's laying all right, and looks like she's pretty ambitious, she's got a good bunch of eggs laid there, and the bees are starting to take it to larval state, then we'll maybe give them a shake of bees and just let her go to see what happens. But the ones, the small ones, we'll dig into, and if there's just a little bit, if they look at it sideways, we pinch her off when we requeen her. So we're pretty ruthless that way in a lot of ways.
Yeah, what you got to. I mean, it's you're dependent on those hives to make the living.
Yeah,
Make,
that's just
make
it.
the product. You got to make the product and everything
You
like that.
tell them, you look at the queen, you say, listen, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah, some of those queens are pretty sexy. Like we have some around the Alder queens, those Golden West. They have some Caucasian in them, and they look like little pieces of gold. Just beautiful queens, nice and shiny. And oh boy, a hard time pinching a queen like that. But I've always I had a mentor tell me one time that when you're rearing queens, he said you'll never pick for color because color doesn't make you any money. You pick for performance. You make sure they're doing what you want. They got to make honey. They got to be calm. They got to brood. They got to be easy on feed. Doesn't matter if they're pretty.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. This year, I've got colonies that overwintered in just regular wooden boxes that are struggling to fill up one deep of bees, and then I've got colonies that overwintered in a polyhive, a licensed polyhive, the real thick-walled ones that I'm struggling to keep in 3 boxes at this time.
Okay.
I mean, just huge disparity between the colonies. Same bees, same yard, same everything. Just some do really well, and I think it's the poly over winter being able to mitigate or regulate the temperature better.
Could be.
But the ones that I had that were real weak, which was like one in this yard, they got 1 frame of brood and with bees on it. And it's like, that's it. That's your shot. Because that's 3 frames of bees, right? If they don't start picking up after that, done. I'll move one of my nuke splits back into it. So
yeah,
It's
we should be beekeeping in about 2.5, 3 weeks. I'm hoping by the end of the month, hope to get the bees out and start beekeeping again. Hopefully they're alive. I guess we'll find out.
you're gonna have your annual poop storm video?
As long as they're alive, they can only poop if they're alive. But the shed, it's cooling. Like right now we're minus, what is it, -8. And I have the refrigeration on because my airflow won't keep the shed cool enough. So that's a good sign. Live hives kick off heat. So that's good.
Yep.
Mine kick off heat every time I open them.
But I mean, as far as pinching the queen off, it's like in anything in life, really. I mean, if you're an athletic person or a performer or whatever, there's one person that can do a performance, let's say athletic wise or whatever, over somebody else. That's the person that gets the job, and the other person gets canceled or whatever. They don't get pinched though. But I did talk to.
Don't say that too loud. My wife might pinch me off. I got some life left.
But no, I talked to Hardeman's where we go down and get package bees down in Georgia in the deep South, and I was asking him about queens and how he does it in the deep South, and he's down there in Alabama, and he said, he says, like you were saying, here's these beautiful queens that are just laying up a storm. But he says, down there, they're laying 12 months out of the year. Yeah. And he says, we pinch them. He says, we requeen every year down there. Now he's got about between 6,000 and 8,000 hives, where they shake bees, and I've been out in the queen yards in the mating yards and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff where they'll have I don't know, 1,000 to 1,500 boxes out underneath the trees with queens. So there's about 3,000, somewhere's around 2,500 to 3,000 queens getting out there getting mated. And
Yeah.
all that. But he repinches he says he requeens every year to make sure that he has good quality hives to make plenty of bee production.
Yeah, I think I probably would do the same thing if I was further south and I could fit everything into one season. It's just expensive buying queens. Like I don't want to spend $50,000 or $60,000 on queens.
No.
So I make my own, and to be able to make my own, to save the money, I have to stretch it into like a year and a half queen program where I build the queens, winter them, and get them, set up for this following year. So I have a perverted system that extends over 2 years instead of doing everything in one, and it saves me a lot of money. Those queens, once develop them out in the summer, get them through winter, those queens are raring to go that next spring. It seems like that winter behind their belt really gets them going. So,
Well, they haven't really went through a honey flow when
No.
you first get them, so they're fresh. When they come out, it's like Brad was talking there, where he sells nukes, but the queen that's in that nuke has not went through a honey flow, and it's their first year coming through the winter, and then he sells a nuke with that over the winter queen, and she should be gangbusters of laying up eggs and everything else, and that's what you're looking for.
yeah.
Well, I'm just like this year, I'm trying to do. I put in new queens last year. I mean, I already know that one queen's a dud, even though she's only a year old. Hope the hives that I've got right now most of them are really good and strong. I want to get through them the honey season this year, and then with like James and Alberta there, I want to go ahead and requeen again. So because he made recommendations of requeening after 2 honey seasons, and that's where she's really banging out the eggs, and by that by that time she's by next year she might fail through the wintertime. You never know. I know Brad here at Cajun Homestead, Brad, what was it, the one queen was a year and 6 months old, 19 months old and done, and had it timed out. Well, that's why he's doing it every year, because he's down there where they lay eggs 12 months out of the year. So they
don't last a year and a half.
Yeah.
After a year and a half, they start petering out. They just
then if you get one that's
drone layers.
If you get one that's not mated very well, she might kick you along through the honey flow, but then they just dwindle down, and then you get some colonies like me where they just failure to launch. Right? They just don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's wrong with this one queen in that hive. It probably didn't get mated that well.
I keep the most I keep now is like 2 or 3 of the older ones that I use for breeding, but that's it. Everything else is requeened, and now I got more success than I did years ago. I mean,
right. So you're off the roll, as I call it, the roller coaster ride. You got your hives are kind of on an even keel completely all the time.
I mean, I got 70 hives, and right now, if I didn't sell them, if I split them, I'd have 100 easy within a month.
Well, go ahead and split them and bring them over here, because I could use a few extra.
Oh my,
we're struggling around here. So
you're going to get ready to bring out the old combine in and start doing some some harvesting of wheat or whatever.
Yeah, I have the old machine. Well, my phone's just about to die here. I'm gonna have to run, I think. Yeah, but the old combine is just about ready to go. I have another bearing to fix and another bolt to put in, and she should be field ready. So I'll have it pointed towards a wheat field, and I can't hardly wait to get that thing. Every time I'm in the shop at the end of the day, I'll start her up just because I hear that 218 just rum, bum, 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 fill that shed full of smoke before I go home for work.
Yeah.
Ian, that'll give those kids something to talk about the rest of their life.
Yeah, I say so. Yeah, working on an old engine like that's pretty special. I fixed that engine up, or not that one, but one like it, with my grandfather when I was the same age, and now I found this engine, and that one was worn right out. Like I had to find another one. So I fixed it up with my kids. So maybe they'll do the same thing when they're my age with their kids, you know. I
Yeah,
hope.
right.
Yeah, I bet you
I
Ian
think-
fires it up and turns his Bluetooth on. They think my tractor's sexy.
I don't know about that old combine though. It's seen 30 bushel wheat in his day. That used to be a big crop, and now we grow 90 bushel wheat. So it's going to make it choke a little bit, I think. But almost a brand new engine, so it should. Oh, I'm down to 1% here. I'm gonna
All right.
take off.
Ian, he's gone.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
he's
doing that
gone.
with my phone.
No, oh, he's
No
on
matter
it.
what
Okay.
percentage I've got. Oh,
I'm
down
glad
to
it's
1%.
glad you came in, Ian.
He's still there.
Like Doug did us the other
He's
night.
still there. He's got his dome light on. There he goes.
That's funny.
Oh my. Well, that was nice having.
Always
Ian come
nice
in.
when Ian stops in for a few minutes.
Yeah, I got some queen evaluation questions answered there. How you doing, Big Mike?
Doing good.
How's things up in the blizzard territory?
Yeah, well, we're getting some grass showing.
That's
yeah?
good.
Yeah, I went around, checked out all the big hives the other day. Looks like I've lost 10. I don't know if they were fall or winter losses, but I still have 64
How many hives you got,
going.
Mike?
What was that?
How many hives you have?
I had I got about 70 production hives.
Oh, okay.
The nukes took a pounding, but I knew they were going to. I didn't have them ready for winter.
Were they
I lost
double 5/5, Mike, or was it
Oh, no,
singles?
4/4s.
4/4?
I've got
Oh,
some
yeah.
five
Yeah,
singles.
Yeah,
Five
them Palmer.
singles. The 5 single survived. You know,
So you had the Michael Palmer type hives?
yes.
Hmm. I thought they were supposed to survive.
You didn't get them fed up, Callie.
What I mean, as in what? What do you have to do to that? Wrap them or
You gotta
something?
have enough feed to make the winter.
Oh, okay.
I really was hurt and didn't get a lot of stuff done that I should have.
Yeah.
Well, at least you had an excuse. I didn't get a lot of stuff I should have, and I just didn't do it. That's what mine.
We had a lot of losses out here too because of the drought. I've got friends that don't very rarely lose a hive, and he's got 4 left out of 27. I got another friend that usually loses 3 a year, and I think he lost 40. But they're just gone. There's not even dead bees in them. They've absconded.
It's
Yeah,
supposed to be 80 degrees here tomorrow.
See that hive right there?
Yep.
That one was the same way when I went to split that yard. It'd actually be on a video in the morning. There was 1 or 2 bees in there, full of honey, still in good shape.
They just left. Was the hive beetles, you think, Joey?
No, there wasn't a hive beetle in it.
They just took off.
Yeah. Now that one right there,
Right.
if you watch the video tomorrow, you'll see a hive beetle in that one.
A singular. That's good. If you only saw one.
A hive beetle are 200 or 300.
Yeah. I want to say thanks to Clay for giving me a super chat there. And hey, Steve.
So, to give you an idea how our weather's doing right now, like tomorrow it's going to be 80 with a low of 67 overnight. And then Monday it's going to be a high of 67 with a low of 39.
Yeah, we're supposed to cool off next week for a day or two.
So it's kind of crazy, just all over the place.
39 low for 1 or 2 days.
That's why the splits that I've made so far have gone into polyhives, right? To try to keep them a little bit in better shape, I think.
Well, here I'll say the next 2 weeks, basically right around 60 to 60. There's around the 60-degree mark come through next week. And then even the next week below. Now, when you get closer to April, they say 80 degrees, which I don't think it's going to get that hot, but who knows?
No, I don't think it is either.
Today we had a lot of wind and we got some rain coming tomorrow.
Well,
Yeah,
I
we do too.
start my job on Tuesday. They flip flop like a politician and said nope, come on 2 weeks earlier. So now I'm coming on Tuesday, but for the first 6 weeks is going to be 12 to 9, 12 noon to 9 p.m. So my stream will probably be later.
Fantastic. I'll be on time then.
So
All right, we got Mike here. His friend had 600 hives to split nukes off of. Looked good for 2 weeks and looked good. 2 weeks later, only 68 were left. About all were completely empty. Notes, dead bees left. No, I guess
No dead bees.
no dead bees left in them.
Where are you located?
Well,
I've
he's
seen people already down south of me that are already starting to get swarms. Some swarms.
well, Michael's in Arkansas, so I guess his other friend is in Arkansas. That's it. That's kind. I mean, that's a lot of hives.
That's 60%.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, is it? I mean, if it was starvation, there would be dead bees in the hive, you know.
Yeah, there would be.
And I don't know. That's a hard one to figure out.
It's east side of Little Rock. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is going to sound harsh, I think, but it's not meant to be harsh. So if you lose 60% and you still have 300 colonies, it sucks very bad. However, you have 300 colonies you can split and be right back at 600, right?
And then see, there were new queens overwintered, never been
to almonds. If if you've got 40 and you're down to 4 or 12 or whatever, and then you split them one time and you still want a honey crop, you're only at 25, so you're still bad shape unless you can afford to buy a bunch of queens.
Yeah, you can make more, but he might have been needing over 1,000 hives somewhere.
Right, that's true. You might have had commitments. Now it becomes an issue, right?
See, where's he's in South Carolina. Is he close to you, Bob?
He's in the upstate. He's between here and Charlotte.
100-mile-an-hour winds. What the hell? What's coming through?
They had tornadoes and stuff. Yeah, he immediately cut all his nuke sales to rebuild for himself. But they had tornadoes and stuff where? Alabama, Georgia, and they're probably coming through this way now. So,
are you having anything like that down there, Brad, as far as bad weather? No.
We're going to have some wind and rain here tomorrow.
We just had a lot of wind today.
You had a lot of wind over there today?
Mm-hmm. But not the most was like 20, 25.
I was thinking about putting out my honey table tomorrow, but then I was like, but will I have 10,000 bees from my colonies flying around the table because the honey's out there?
Friendly bees.
No, yeah. Only I'm going to have to put a sign up, friendly bees only. All others will be ejected from the facility.
I'm headed north in the morning to go snowmobiling.
You didn't do that right there where you live? You got to go away to do that, Mike?
I have a camp, maple syrup. So we tote the snowmobiles and bring the sap back with it.
Okay.
Then you put it on the big burner, cook it down.
I don't do anything. I'll just drink a few beers.
I went to a maple syrup festival in Michigan, and you walk through the little trees where they have it tapped off with the buckets hanging on it.
Yeah.
And then they had the big stainless steel tank. They dumped all the syrup in or the sap in, and then cooked it down.
Mike said, "I'll have a few beers." The word "few" is relevant.
Right.
Most of them have it where the whole forest is tapped with hoses with a vacuum on it, and of course they usually have a sugar shack right there to put all that in. From what I gather, I'm not sure.
I'm going up to my camp, but it was like 3-4 years ago. I came up and I pull in my yard, and all of a sudden they've run lines, tapped all my trees. I said, "Well, we thought you'd like that." I said, "Thanks, guys."
And all that. Let's see.
So, Mike, UPS picked up your tank on Monday.
Yeah, it's supposed to be here tomorrow,
Okay.
so I hope it's here when I get home.
Let's hope so.
What's that?
Yeah, Mike, I got my food grease today and greased up that plunger on that. I heated it up, put some food grease on it, and I had hot air on it for an hour before I came in today, and I got her. She's working good now. So
Good.
it seems to be working fine.
Yeah, I don't even heat it. I just put it on. It eventually works in.
Yeah, well, I heated it to unstick it, the valve. I think the bronze bushing maybe expands a little bit, when you heat it. And I went ahead and put the grease around it and let it kind of seep down in there if it did. And it's working fine like it always does now. And I put a 3-pound bottle underneath there and pulled her all the way up, and, wipe some grease on it right quick.
Yeah.
So it works. It seems to be back the way it should work.
I bottled 40 pounds up to take up north this weekend.
Yeah. I don't know. I did 20 or 30, 20, 25, I guess, today.
I haven't been there in a year. Everybody's out.
Then my tank's just about, I'm letting it go down real low, and I've got a 6-inch wide scraper, stainless scraper. And I go around the walls with that scraper and scrape off that pollen residue. So I guess is what it is, the pollen out of the honey.
Yeah.
And clean that wall with that thing. And it works. It was like everybody said, "Well, you got to wash it." I'm like, no, I just scrape it off and you get the bulk of it, and it's pretty and clean and all that. Just have to let it, get low in the tank and all that stuff. So that's back up and running. Got my, like I say, my valve unstuck, and
It don't usually get in the honey anyhow in those tanks, does it? Once you heat it, don't it just rise to the top?
what, the pollen, or
Yeah.
I guess it does. I don't know. It
only
sticks to the
sticks
wall.
to the-
It's like in a bucket. It sticks to the walls.
Yeah, I think it sticks as it goes down.
Yeah, it does. As it goes down, it'll stick to the walls, and you can see lines where I'll drop it 1.5 inches, of honey every time, and you can see the lines going down the walls and all that. So I scraped all that out and cleaned it up, getting ready to refill it. And I wanted to get that valve. I was letting it get low because I didn't know what I had to do about that valve. And Mike told me how to grease it and all that. I was surprised. That stuff don't look no more like Vaseline than anything else to me.
What's
It's
the
white.
name of it? What kind is it?
I don't know. It's
Just food safe grease.
yeah, it's what they sell in all the different places. Little tube of it.
It must be the same kind of stuff that I got a tube with my honey extractor.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
That's something that I've not greased since I've had my honey extractor, is
that ball bearing.
that ball bearing in the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, I take mine apart every year and grease it right up. I'll either put it outside for the bees, and then I pressure wash it, clean it,
And then
take it
tear it
all
apart.
apart.
I think I maybe ought to do that this year since I haven't done it for a long, ever. But I was thinking about that. Hilco talks about, you can grease it from underneath here. Well, I guess with a grease gun nipple, I guess that's how they work. And I'm like, I know that Man Lake sells this grease in a grease gun tube, form.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's a lot of grease. I mean, you don't really grease it that much to do it all.
They make mini tubes though too, the mini grease guns.
Oh, mini grease. Okay.
Yeah.
And all that.
Mine, I don't think has a grease fitting. I haven't crawled under it. I know my 9-frame doesn't. I just pull the thing out and clean it out, dry it out, and put some grease in it and put it back together.
Yeah.
You got a Hilco, Charlie?
No, it's a Man Lake.
Man Lake.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had it for, 6-7 years or more. It's from Italy or someplace. Who knows? It's an 18 frame. It does all right. It's these newer models out there that have the cut. I always look at the basket inside, and a lot of the nicer ones, or at least the ones that are coming out today, have flat metal and they're cut out with notches. And it looks like to me, mine's are like little welded wires in there that kind of hold the frame in place. But these other ones seem to be a little bit more rigid and a little more stable when it comes to holding the frames inside there. But Clay, the thing of it is, you have a little mini grease gun that you use to pump in the Hilco. And all that. So, but anyway, I got that fixed, and I had ran out of 2-pound bottles, and my bee club had a partial case of them they wanted to get rid of, so I bought them. So I'm good to go for right now.
For the next few months until you harvest again. You'll be stocking back
Well,
up.
then see, my club normally goes up to the bottling company,
Right.
and I usually buy a case of 1s, 2s, and 3s. And this year, for some reason, I ran out of 2s. Usually, I go from year to year, no problem. So it seemed like to me I'm selling a little bit more 2s this year.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Once I went to bigger size bottles, customers started buying bigger sizes. I think it's just so they don't have to drive and make a special trip all the way out here to get.
Well, I know sales wise, they're coming in the mill here, and I've got records of all over the past years. I would sell a 3-pounder maybe once a month. And then I got this one girl, the mermaid. She comes in, gets 3.
The mermaid.
Mermaid.
That's what her name is. Stephanie the mermaid. And she comes in and she'll buy every so many months 4 3-pound bottles. Now, when I was down at Bill's at that class, I got a text down there. I want 8 3-pound bottles. So she doesn't have to come in so often. I'm like, whatever, out the door you go. And, but now instead of, selling on average of 1, maybe 2 3-pounders a month, I got people coming in. Oh, I want 2 3-pound bottles. And it's like sort of like on a weekly basis almost. Or I want 1 3-pound bottle. And then the next guy comes in, he wants 2 of them. And the next guy after that wants 2 of them. And I used to keep 4 of them on hand, 2 in the office and 2 in my storeroom. And now I keep 4 of them in the storeroom because of the amount of people buying 2 at a time.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then there's a lot of 2-pounders. They'll buy 2 of those, which gives them 4 pounds, and stuff like that. And Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what she uses it for, but
Cures
I
mad
sold.
fish disease.
I've sold honey for people's allergies, and explain them how they're supposed to do with that. I've sold honey to people that have dogs that have allergies, and they let the dogs eat the honey, and it cures their dog allergies and everything like that. I mean, I don't.
I sold honey to somebody for wound dressing for their horse before.
Yeah. I've
Yep.
sold. I got a gal. I got all these horse girls coming in here. And I had this one gal, she's doing the hoof on the horse has got a crack in it. She takes my uncapping wax and makes it's uncapping wax and whatever. I think she probably puts like tea tree oil in it and stuff like that. And that way they fill the crack up with this wax. And then I presume the hoof heals itself over time. It keeps all the manure and trash out of it.
Yeah,
Stuff
it's like a
like that.
toenail. It'll grow back.
Tell my customers my honey heals their soul.
Yeah, Brian, the horse girls, it's like I told my son, they're all good to look at, but you don't want to hook up with them because all they're looking for is somebody to pay for that damn horse.
Exactly. All in one.
I'm telling you now, I see these poor old boys coming in here and getting hay for my son, and they're, damn horses. All they do is take money. I'm like, yeah, I could have told you that.
Hey, Charlie, you just reminded me of an old story. Back when I was a kid, there's a preacher, the pastor of our church. He was real strict. And he had a mule that was sick. And a man told him he could cure that mule. He said, "How you gonna do that?" He said, "I need
That'd
you
be
to go
fun.
get me." He
Go
said,
ahead.
"I need you to go get me a bottle of liniment and a filth of whiskey." So that preacher went and bought that liniment and that whiskey and gave it to him. And he went and put the whiskey in the car and poured that liniment down that mule's mouth. He
Oh,
said, "What are
God.
you going to do with that filth of whiskey?" He said, "I'm going to drink it." That preacher like to die.
That's funny.
Charlie, do you get honeydew honey?
Oh, you mean spotted lanternfly?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we got a lot of it. This past year, I did not see the bugs themselves. I mean, 2 years ago, you couldn't walk anywhere with the darn things flying in your head and everything else or stepping on them. And then this past year, I didn't see 12 of them, but now I will have to say, and even the bee inspector made a comment that we had a really late flow this year. All like almost to the end of July, which usually by the 4th of July, everything is done. And she couldn't tell me what it was either. I had pulled my supers off around the 4th or so. And then I put my third medium back on as my brood chamber, 3 mediums. And I went back a week or so later and it was completely full of honey. And I just leave it there for them, to get through the dearth. And we didn't really have a dearth this past year.
I saw somewhere that they were checking out the medicinal characteristics.
Penn State.
And that may be higher than Manuka.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. Dr. She was just zoomed in our club meeting. What's her name? Shoot. She's from Penn State.
Yep.
And Robin Underwood, Dr. Robin Underwood.
They're testing it.
She's zoomed in our club meetings for speaker stuff a couple times. And the first one, she talked about that. Somebody that was in that kind of realm said, you need to test this honey and about the medical properties, as in Manuka honey is the benchmark as far as antibacterial and all that stuff. And she found out that even older lanternfly honey, and the fresher it is, the more medicinal it is. The older it is, it still beats out Manuka honey when it comes to the medicinal purposes of it and all that. And all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I have a bottle of it here. A friend of mine I met about 3 years ago. He lives within 5 miles of the epicenter of where how they came to this country is we don't have enough rocks in this country. So we have to go to China and buy rocks and ship them over here. Well, the darn rocks had the eggs on them. And and that quarry was in 5 miles of his place. And that's where it all started in Pennsylvania, where the lanternflies came. And for a couple of years they were talking about them up in Westchester, Pennsylvania, about an hour and a half from me, and how bad they were and all that. And every year they kept migrating down. And then I guess COVID hit. And they, it was, typical government. Oh yeah, we alerted them. We found them right here at the Maryland line, right through COVID. Well, we can't do nothing about it. We can't, because of COVID. And after that, it's like, well, just take a picture and send it to us. And it's like, I'm like, why even bother? You're not going to do anything about it anyway. Yeah. And Underwood said that they tried to go around and they tried to kill all the mother of heaven trees that they are attracted to and all that. And they found that didn't work. And, once they're here, they're here.
Yep.
You can't do nothing about it.
The government will want to wait 50 years and then bring another beetle in to try to kill them out.
Yeah.
Well, like down your way, Joe, you got the, the tallow tree. It's been it was brought here by the settlers, 200 years ago, maybe? Down in your area?
I really don't know.
I don't know. It was something like that. And now they're like, well, it's invasive. We got to kill it, everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's already here. It's established.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. And I don't know. They were going to bring a bug in to kill it. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to kill that tree. And what's that bug going to do? It's going to kill all the oak trees because it doesn't have a tallow tree to eat off of.
In my opinion, the bug won't be able to kill all the trees because that plant came from China. That bug came from China, and China still has that tree. So there you go.
Yeah.
So Joey,
you got the tallow tree now. It's become your number one honey producer down in your area.
Yeah, when it produces.
I got a question for you, Joey. Your long Langstroth versus your regular Langstroths. How's the honey comparison?
It doesn't matter. The hive doesn't make it that big a difference. That's all up to the colony that's in it.
No, I didn't know if they stored it easier, faster, or.
No, they do pretty good in it.
There's your answer. 1776.
It's all Ben's fault.
Yep.
Yep.
Guess he wasn't as smart as he thought he was.
Well, it didn't bother him.
Well, they brought that Japanese carp or something like that here too. Now it's taken over all the rivers and everything.
Yeah.
So
here they'll pay you. The state will pay you to take out your Bradford pear trees.
Yeah, they will.
Why is that? I mean, they have them around here as ornamental trees, and I know a tree botanist guy. He hates them with a passion.
They're invasive.
In what way?
Birds go and eat the seeds, and now they're choking out all the native species of trees and plants on fence rows and in the forest in Virginia.
If
it wasn't for birds, I wouldn't have wild blueberries and wild blackberries.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, around here they line the driveways with them. They break off. They're very fragile trees.
Yeah.
And half the time they keep them in for about 10 years and they're breaking off so much they just cut them down and be done with them. I don't see them. It's like where Bob lives. He talks about Formosa trees. Well, we had one. It's an ornamental tree that my grandmother planted here in the yard. It's been cut down because it was one of them soft, brittle type trees that breaks off. And you don't see those trees around here, but I went down towards Alabama, and like Bob was saying, you could see them off the sides of the road. So it must be something different depending on what environment you're in. Because, I mean, as far as Bradford pears, they're planted by the landscapers and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, down there where Bob's at, they like the live oak trees.
Tell you what, if it wasn't for, man, I got so many dangerous pine trees around mine. I stopped parking my truck in the backyard after that last tree fell. I'm like, nope, don't need to get pined. Because when you see the wind, and I don't know, they probably do it around y'all too. They'll be skinny and about 100 foot tall, and the wind will start blowing, and they'll just, the pine trees are just swaying, and then all of a sudden, and they just fall over. And the last one that fell, I still got to burn some of that wood off. I get branches and stuff everywhere. And we've got that English ivy.
Yep.
It'll grow up a tree and choke that whole tree out.
yep. Yeah, we've had that here in the front yard where it went up one of those catalpa trees, and we'd take an axe. Some guy, what are you doing trying to chop the tree down? I said, no, I'm cutting out a foot of that darn vine, and it'll kill the rest of that vine up in that tree and all that. But yeah, I don't know. It's our environment. It is what it is. I mean, as far as the Bradford pear, I don't think the bees fool with that stuff much at all, do they?
Pollen, I think. They just get pollen from it, I think.
Yeah, it's just the pollen. And then the tree of heaven, of course, they love that.
And then we'll get magnolias here a little bit later in the year. And I don't know if Joey, do you have magnolias down where you're at down there? Big magnolia trees? Do the bees mess with that too much?
I see them on it sometimes. It'll trap that pollen in that bulb or in that.
Does it nectar at all?
I don't think it's nectar. I think it's just pollen they're after in it too. I could be wrong.
Clay, you say you have what everywhere in Virginia is the mimosa trees or the other one, the Bradford pear. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, down where you're at, Bob, yeah, pine. That's pine country. Up here, we're mostly hardwoods. Oaks, poplars, mostly a lot of poplar, a lot of that's one of our biggest nectar sources. Each blossom will produce, they say, about a tablespoon of nectar.
Wow.
That's
a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Invasive honeysuckle bush. To me, we've got honeysuckle. It might be in a fence row or someplace like that.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see the Carolina jasmine blooming on the.
Yeah, we had that issue last couple of weeks.
And what's that? I got a plant across the road here, and I was looking at it last year. It's got like this great big purple pod looking thing. What is that called?
Oh, I'm not sure what that one is. The Carolina jasmine is just a yellow flower. And I don't know if the bees mess with it, but it's supposed to be poisonous to bees and humans. So,
is it a plant or a tree? Small tree, Charlie?
Well, it's more like a tree or something.
Like a lilac type of thing?
No, it looks like a gigantic pointy looking thing. It's kind of red looking.
Right. Does it turn brown in the fall?
Huh?
Does that pod turn brown in the fall?
Maybe.
Is it
It could be a
clover?
locust.
A what, Bill?
A locust.
No, it ain't locust trees. I know what they
crimson clover?
No, this is a big, this has got cottonwood trees. Philip, I don't have any cottonwood trees around here. Actually, we've gotten some trees. They look like a poplar, but they're a cross. And we talked to the DNR, and he said they were cottonwood. They're kind of, I don't know. We didn't like them.
Wisteria?
No.
Wisteria looks like this.
That's kind of a viney tree, isn't it?
Looks like that.
No. This
That's not it.
This is like a great big pod. I forget. I knew what the name of it was, but I can't. What it is.
It could be. Well, no, it wouldn't be a red maple.
No, this is it's got like a 2-inch stem. It got these great big leaves, and it's got this. I think it has little flowers that come out,
Are you talking about the magnolia tree?
Oh, isn't that the one? It's got like a great big blossom.
Yeah.
That's a.
Yeah.
It has a big seed pod on it. It looks like a tight pine cone or something. And they
it kind of looks like a pine cone, but it's about that big around. It's kind of
probably the magnolia.
They have magnolias in Maryland.
Bring up magnolia.
Has it got thorns on it?
I don't think so. Sumac, that's it. Bring up sumac.
Ironweed.
That's it. Now the other one next door to it.
This one?
Yeah, that's it.
Staghorn sumac, like that?
That's it.
Never seen that one before.
Oh, that. Bees love that.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe that's what my extra. Go back to the other pictures, Bob. No. Scroll back down. You got 1, 2, 3. Number 3 and number 4, right in the middle there. That one there.
Bare root sumac. Staghorn sumac.
It's what?
Bare root staghorn sumac.
Yeah, they grow from 3 to 35 feet tall.
That's what it is across the road.
Yeah, it grows wild everywhere around here.
Yeah, we don't have that down here.
Now sumac, when I always heard that, I always heard about Bill, the sumac that they plant in the fields is different.
This is the mimosa we get here.
Yeah, I had one of them. I know, I recognize that tree.
Yeah, what they plant in the field is a different type of sumac.
Yeah, because you usually chop that.
Yeah, you chop it and
it's got that head on it like that up in the top.
Yep.
So Dinah says they're great for your smoker. Okay.
Yep. And then, of course, the wild sumac, you don't want to get too involved in it because some of it has an oil on the bottom of the leaf like poison oak or poison ivy does.
Oh, yeah. Poison sumac.
Yeah, poison sumac. And you put that in your smoker, you'll regret it. So you got to be very careful with sumac.
Well, I don't know which one's which then. I won't put it in my smoker. I'll just save my pine needle.
If you flip it over and the bottom of the leaf is shiny and it looks wet, that's oil. And where it's just like poison ivy, poison oak, when you touch it, you've got it.
And it'll burn you or make your skin hurt or whatever.
Yeah, it'll just like poison ivy, poison oak. Some people are allergic to it, some people aren't.
Well, gentlemen, I got to log off for this evening. I'm trying to get my clock in sync before I got to start my job. So
good luck.
Yeah, we'll be heading out too.
All right, gentlemen. We'll talk to you on the next stream.
All right, Bob.
All right, bye.
See you.
Come on in here,
Yeah,
Mark.
later.
Who's
Brad
Mark?
left too.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. It's been going for 2 hours. It was a quick 2 hours. A good time to see Ian and everybody.
Yeah,
All that.
it worked. Very good chat tonight.
So, Mike, you gonna, well, of course, it's still cold up there, isn't it? About 60 degrees or less, 50 degrees.
I don't know what it is. It was in the mid-40s today.
40s. That's
Yeah. There's plenty of snow where I'm going tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Ripple. I'm gonna pee. Yeah. That's Ripple. All right, Joe. Hey, Joe. Joseph.
Charlotte, I called in to tell you a story that happened to me yesterday.
Okay. Eugene says something about white sumac is poisonous. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay away from them.
The,
Go ahead,
the-
Robert.
the red stuff isn't bad, Charlie.
Okay. So what do you got, Robert?
So yesterday I went out to the bee yard for the first time this year. What's that?
What?
Hold on.
All right.
Try it now. Is that okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
On my end, I was getting bad
It's
feedback.
kind of a echoey sound, but anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, yesterday I went out to check the bee yard for the first time this year, and wasn't too fantastic of results, but irrelevant to the conversation. So I had a couple dead outs, had the normal clusters where the queen was sitting in the middle of the cluster, and then I got to this like third one or fourth one, and the there was no cluster, but they were all dead in the bottom. I found the queen walking around on the frame, and there was like 5 bees in that hive with her. I mean, she was still alive. Crazy, isn't? I mean, it was absolutely crazy. So I caged her with what I had, which all I had was like a marking cage, and the bees can get in the end of it. You know what I mean? But it's all I had. So I took another hive that that was busting at the seams, and I took the bottom off of it, and moved it underneath her and put her 2 above it, and I put her in that cage, just thinking that maybe her bees would protect her, all 5 of them, and they murdered her within an hour. I couldn't believe it. I was so mad, but I was like, it is what it is. But I've never seen a queen survive a dead like that. That was the
Oh, yeah.
weirdest thing.
I have.
And she was lethargic as heck. She was barely walking. It was like she wasn't even being fed. She was just barely walking. I mean, she didn't run from me or anything. She just walked real slow across the frame. I was mind baffled. I've never seen that before. Anything like that. It was literally like five bees and a queen. That was all it was in that hive.
I've actually picked up a dead out before. This was years ago. Brought it home, dumped it all out on a trailer. Just gonna clean it up. And a few bees fell out, and one of them was a queen. About a half a dozen bees. One of them was a queen. And I actually salvaged her. I kept her and pulled a frame out of another beehive and caged her in there for a little while and turned her loose, and she actually made it.
Yeah, if I would have went and got an actual queen cage, I think she'd been all right.
Yeah.
But I didn't have one with me, and I didn't want to go messing with it. So I figured I didn't know if she'd even make it anyways because she was so lethargic. I mean, like I said, I've never seen a queen move that slow.
She probably didn't have no feed in her.
That particular dead out, those bees were accidentally poisoned. The guy sprayed the field to kill the flowers that were growing in the field, and it killed a lot of the field bees. And then some of them that made it back evidently killed some of the young ones too. But Somehow that queen survived it. It didn't hurt her. I guess they were feeding her royal jelly that was already made or whatever.
I'll
But,
tell you, one thing that was surprising is how much feed is left on my colonies this year. I mean, it's a lot. Like, I'm actually concerned that they're going to plug out in the next 2 weeks because they're bringing in pollen like crazy right now, and there's nowhere to put anything. The hives are full, so I'm kind of concerned. I've never had that issue before. They've never made it through winter with this much feed on them.
Are they singles or doubles?
Singles.
You got dead outs? Make them doubles.
Well, I have the equipment to make them doubles, but I never had to do that before. But
Every year's a challenge.
yeah, I just can't believe how much honey's left on them. It's surprising. I didn't realize I fed them out so heavy last year. So I don't know. It's a good problem to have, I guess. But
Let them get up in that second one, then you can make splits.
yeah, that's 2 weeks from now. I gotta leave town for work for a week or 9 days. So when I get back, I'll look at start doing some splitting. But that's on my to-do list. But I haven't. Normally I would equalize next week, right around the first of the year. I go in, or 1st of April. I mean, 1st of April I equalize all my hives. I go through and I make sure everybody has the exact amount of frames of brood, food, so forth. And I might still do that this year. I don't know. Like I said, I've got a lot of that are really big, and then I have a lot of them that are medium size. But I don't have any. I lost between, last year I was at 85, and then I put 45 to bed because of the queen problem I had, and then I came out of winter with 25. So
Roy's asking where you at, where you located, Robert.
what's that?
Roy's asking where you located.
Central Ohio, north of Columbus, an hour. So yeah, it sucks. It's 85 to 25 this year. Last year I put 44 to bed and came out with 44 at 100% survival. This year, of course, I only put 45 to bed because I had that queen problem where I lost all those queens. I lost 40 queens this summer. So that was a rough summer. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I have 25 very strong hives, so I have 2 weak ones. I didn't even count those because I don't even think they're going to make it through the spring here. Could be wrong. Maybe they'll build up. I mean, but they're pretty tiny. They're like a fist size of bees. So I don't know. I don't really count those. But hopefully, I'm going to. I think next when I equalize, I'm going to go ahead and do the old double screen board, and move the eggs above and let them make their own queen. Because I'm thinking about not requeening it all until June this year. Last year I did it in the spring, and I mean a huge failure rate. Like I said, over 50% failure rate, 40 some queens. So this year, I'm going to wait till June, and I think I'm going to just take double stream boards put in there, and I'm just going to leave I built some 4-framers, and I'm going to put them above the larger colonies. I'm going to let them build up slowly until June, and then I'll use those as my splits to build my colonies back up.
Melanie wants to know what you did. What happened to your queens last year? Where they got cold or something?
No, I requeened them all in like the first week of April last year, and they with virgins, and there wasn't enough drones in the air, and then also it rained for 2 weeks straight, and so none of them mated properly. So they all failed. So after I think I lost almost 60 queens in total. I requeened a bunch. Like I think I requeened another 30 after the first time they failed, something like that. It was quite a bit. So in total, I mean, I don't even know, like at least 60 queens I lost last year. It was terrible, but it was all because they were poorly mated. They were laying for a week, a month, whatever, 2 months, some of them for 3 months. But by fall, I had lost probably 60 queens. So it was pretty bad.
Charlie, I'm gonna get on out of here. I got an early morning in the morning.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice talking to you, Joey.
I'll see y'all later.
Yeah. Good. Glad to stop by.
I think I'm going to do solstice queens this because I know a few people swear by that. So I think I'm going to do more solstice queens around the 22nd of June, and I'll just requeen all my colonies then. And like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm building several like 24 four framers, and I'm going to build some double screen boards, and I'm going to let them ride above full colonies until June, and then June I'll split those the production colonies from one production colony into 3 after the in July I'll do that after the harvest. This way I can still get a full crop, and then I'll split my hives out to 3 each, and they should have enough time between the 4th of July and September to build up big enough to make it through the winter without any problem. It's a theory.
You should have a full-size hive anyway on top of that when you put a new queen in.
Yeah, like I said, if I take those two, I'm going to take those 2 fours. I'm going to ride them above, starting here in April. I'm going to let them ride until June, but I'm going to make sure that they're not too big. If they get too big, I'm going to do what you do with the Demare or Demare, whatever you want to call it, and move it into the above the primary hive. That way, I can get the most honey production. Because that was one of the other issues I've ran into the last several years. Is that I've always hurt my honey production because when you split, you always, you lose something. So, I mean, a percentage of your honey. So this year, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do Demarays, and I'm going to try to maximize my honey production on those 24 hives.
Well, the thing of it is have you ever sold your honey yet?
Yeah.
What are you doing with sales there?
Well, last year I sold 1,600 pounds. This year I have not done very well. Well, no, sorry. This year I've sold 1,600 pounds. The year before,
you were doing different ways of selling it and all that stuff. You were putting in stores and.
Yeah, I'm in a couple different places, a couple different stores. But I need to get up to closer to 5,000 pounds because I'm going to go through a distributor once I get to that point. But I got to get big enough I can produce that close to 5,000 pounds, because the distributors don't want to deal with a guy that's only producing 600-800 pounds. They want, and right now I've been producing about 2,000 pounds each year. I need to be up around 5,000 in order to get in with the distributor. Now I could buy some and try to, what is it, 20%? You're allowed to buy 20% and mix it with yours and call it your own in Ohio.
I don't know. I mean,
Tom would be the one to ask that.
Yeah. In Ohio, you're allowed to mix 20% and still call it your own. But I still have to, even at that number, I'd still have to be over 3,000 to even come into those, those percentages where they even make sense. So I'm not even close to that yet. Like I said, last year, I think I made like 2,000 pounds, maybe 24. I'd have to go back and count or look it up, but yeah, that's a different story. But I'm trying to get out of the individual retail. I want to bulk sell.
This is interesting here. You did a Demare. I'm going to put grass, I guess, up in the top box.
Mm-hmm.
And I presume they would pull the cells out.
Oh, I'm sure they will, because they're queenless up there. I'm sure they will pull themselves out.
That's an interesting idea.
It is.
Very interesting.
Do a small demarest split. Couple, do the deep bottom box. Couple of mediums. Put the old brood box on top. Yeah, that's a good idea. And drop cells in it. You could keep dropping cells in it all summer.
They said it had a ton of bees in it.
Yeah.
That would be a real easy way of making queens.
Yeah. Brian, keep us posted on that
Yeah,
experiment.
Brian, make a video on that, would you?
Yeah.
That's
And because if it works, I'm going to try it next year.
I might just try it this year.
Yeah, they could do that too because I haven't made my demarest yet.
Well, I haven't either because it's still too early, but
Yeah.
I'm getting close to making demarest here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, like Clay said, they want to make queens anyway.
When do you start, Charlie? You said in 2 weeks.
Well, in past years, if I have a booming hive, everybody tells me, like on these other chats that are, 1 and 2 year beekeepers, they're going to swarm. They're going to swarm. I says, no, they're not, because I know how to manage them. And I want booming hives where I can't see any. I want a hive that's got volcano of bees coming out of the top.
Yep.
And I want them from the bottom board to the top, just full of bees.
Yep.
And you need to get in there. And everybody says, well, April for me is the start of the honey season. And I find that I'll get in there like the last week of March and get that set up where I'll have at least one, maybe, well, if it's a booming hive, you'll put 2 honey supers on and then put the brood up top. And my game plan this year is I got caught a couple years ago. I didn't realize what Apis biologic would do. And I did video it. I'll see how things turn out and make a video. All right, cool. That's great, Brian. Anyway, it's like everything else you do in beekeeping. It takes you several tries, I'll say, in working the bees and to understand what you want to do. And when I first did it that first year with all them bees in there, I was expecting the bottom box to be empty and the 2 medium top boxes to be full. No, it was brood and bees from the bottom box to the top box and then some.
Yep.
So what I should have done, and this is what I'll do this year, in order to relieve the bee pressure, I'll smoke them down as best I can, put a queen excluder on the 3 mediums, put 2 honey supers on, and I'll go down that robot right behind me. That's all my production hives, or most of them. And I'll do that to every one of them that has the bee, like the one hive that doesn't, I won't even fool with. But the ones that are strong beehives, I'll do that. That way, I'll have bees up in those honey supers. Then I got less bees to work with down in the brood chamber. Go back. I would say by the time I get to the end of 16 of those hives and go through and do all that, go back around to them again, take my hive lifter, raise that 2 honey supers up full of bees. They don't realize it. Then get into that top box and take it off, pull the brood out of it, have a spare box there, pull all your cat brood out of that one, take that box off, pull more cat brood out of the middle box, and then take the top box, whatever was left in that, it wasn't cat, put that all back into the bottom 2 mediums, and then put that brood upstairs. And
Charlie, do you always have to go in and knock down the cells every 2 weeks or 10 days, whatever you do?
Up top,
Mm-hmm.
about every 7 days. Actually, you go up when you put those cat brood frames up there, go in there about 4 or 5 days later and check for cells.
See, I only go out to my yards every 2 weeks typically. So
Yeah, you'll have a bunch of virgin queens up there.
Yep.
yeah, that's the problem I'm seeing.
Or something Bill said there, you can get some temp
Yep.
noodles from him. Queen pheromone temp noodles. So they think they got a queen up there.
It's
See that-
called TMP.
Yeah, I have some in the freezer.
Yeah. So try cutting one of them in half and put it up top, and they don't want to build queen cells at that point because they think there's a queen in there, and they last about 7 to 8 days. Then you got to take it out.
Yeah, like I said, I've never done the demare or whatever they want to call it, but this year I think I might try that. Like I said, I want a larger production this year off of the same amount of hives, because last year even with 85 hives, I only produced like, I don't know, 2,400 pounds, between 2 and 2,400. I have to go back and look, which is not good. I think I only averaged, but you got to remember, most of my hives were dying throughout the entire harvest. Every time I'd go over the yard, I'd have 4 or 5 empty boxes from while they were drone laying. But you know how those dwindle down quick. But yeah, so you can't even. I probably only had 24 production hives last year even with 85 hives because of all the queens, bad queens. But even with 24 hives, though, I mean, what are you getting on 12 hives, Charlie? 1,600 pounds with your demarays?
What's that now?
So how many you're getting? 1,600 pounds on 12 hives with demarays?
No, I got about 1,000 pounds this past year. It's like 1,010 pounds, and I'll say between 12 and I expanded up to 14, but a lot of them they were growing. They went from 12 up, so I'll say around 12, maybe.
So let's say if you had,
maybe 13 or 14.
yeah. So if you had, like, let's say
About it averaged out around 80 pounds per hive.
yeah. So you're saying basically you'd have to have a dozen hives per 1,000 pounds, roughly. So that's roughly 40 hives. I'm just throwing numbers out there to get 4,000.
Yeah, but you got to also remember you got to have weather.
Yep.
You got to have the food sources and for them to make that honey.
Yep.
All right. I only
And
averaged less than
that-
35 pounds a hive last year. It was terrible.
Yeah, but it depends on. I mean, didn't you have a dry spell?
We did.
Weren't
Yeah,
you? Yeah, you were in a drought out there.
You were in a drought out there, so you're not going to get all that.
Right.
Yeah, last year was
The
terrible.
old saying goes, it's farming, and it is what it is. One year you'll make a bust, and next year you'll make a booming crop, and it's just it fluctuates.
Last year was the worst year I've had in 6 years. So hopefully this year's better, but it's a rebuilding year now. That's what sucks. I mean, I'm back 4 years since I've had 25 hives. I had 25 hives my second year.
Well, you got plenty of drawn comb. You can get right back up there.
Yeah. You can.
But I've got so much damn equipment, and it's coming out my ears right now. I have enough for 100 hives, and actually more than 100 hives, and it's all drawn comb for 100 hives. And now I'm sitting on 25, and an entire building full of comb is going to get destroyed by wax moths. It's going to be a rough year again. I don't know if there's any way to fix that problem.
Yeah. Put all those frames that got drawn comb on them. Put them in a Rubbermaid tub.
Yeah, I can't
And tape
afford
them
all
up
the
real
building
good.
kits. Not for 100 hives, but I have 75. I have a deep and 3 supers for 100 hives, and with drawn comb. So, right, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna talk to Bob and brains fried tonight. But anyway, about that stuff that they're spraying on their comb. That
Sertan.
no, it's the stuff that
You're talking about that.
Todd.
Yeah, it's from
Tobit's talking about it.
Yeah, Bob sells it.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try that because otherwise I'm gonna lose, like you said, 100 hives, 4 times 100 boxes worth of comb. Well,
Todd,
75.
Todd at Loma Vista used it, so experimented with it, and it worked great.
Yeah, I think that's the only choice I have because otherwise it's all gonna get destroyed and it's a lot of money down the drain, a lot of time down the drain.
Yeah, well, that's what it amounts to.
Are the deeps brood comb?
What do you mean? Well, they're not. A lot of them are honey supers, so they won't. Some of those won't get touched because they've never had brood in them. Probably, I don't know. At least 100 boxes have never had brood in them.
It's
But-
called Hygienic Boost, and it's from Brian. Said he used Surtan, haven't had any issues. But Surtan is nothing new. It's been out years ago. Only thing is the people lost the EPA certification, and then Dadon or somebody went back and I guess paid the government off to get recertified to sell it. That's been quite a few years ago.
Yeah, I want to try to get to split everything back, like I said, to at least in half. So hopefully I'll be back above 50 by the end of the season. But no, 50% of my equipment is going to be sitting empty, even at that. So I definitely got to do something. I got to look into something. Because last year I left, I don't know, 40 supers drawn in my my shed, and it was unbelievable, the wax moths. It was disgusting. I didn't realize they could do so much damage until you get one time is all it takes to realize it. It's nasty. Cleaning that mess up was terrible. Makes you want to set a match to it all, honestly.
Yeah. I did that. I think one box. I mean, around here, around August, look out, here it comes. That's where I have the freezers and stuff. So, but anyway. Well, guys, it's about time. It's almost 10:30, and we've been going for about 2.5 hours. And so I think we're gonna wrap it up for the night. And so until next time, we'll see you next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see what we're happening with our hives at that time. So we'll see y'all later.
Night.
Good night, everyone.